The time is precisely 6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Chandima Veerakorn. Headlines. The President emphasizes that the government has no intention of selling or leasing out East Container Terminal of the Colombo Harbour. The European Union supports Sri Lanka's justice sector, food safety and efforts to mitigate climate change. The United States helps mitigate human and economic losses caused by the pandemic. Katunayake International Airport has been certified with internationally recognized health and safety measures. In foreign news, China COVID cases jump ahead of WHO investigation team's arrival. And in sports news, it's cricket. The first test between Sri Lanka and England will begin tomorrow in Galle. Local stories in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has emphasized that the government has no intention of selling or leasing out East Container Terminal of the Colombo Harbour. The President expressed those views during a meeting today with the trade union representatives at the Residential Secretariat. He pointed out that the previous government leased out at the Hambantota port for 99 years. The President said that after coming into power, discussions were held with the Chinese company and the responsibility of security of the ocean around the harbour was taken under the purview of the government. The East Container Terminal of the Colombo port will be developed while keeping 51% ownership under Sri Lanka government and as an investment with stakeholders. The President said that he is prepared to accept proposals submitted together by all trade union representatives. Operations of the western terminal of the harbour will be entrusted with the Port Authority in future. The head of the Presidential Task Force, Basil Rajapaksa, who attended the meeting, said that increasing operations of the East Terminal will generate jobs. Mr. Basil Rajapaksa disclosed that the plans prepared by the previous government to sell Mattala International Airport and the Noracholai power plant were suspended by the present government. The European Union announced the signing of 3 grants worth €35.75 million which will support Sri Lanka's justice sector, help improve food safety and strengthen efforts to mitigate climate change. The grants were signed on behalf of the Government of Sri Lanka by Secretary to the Treasury S.R. Artigala and were presented by the Ambassador of the Delegation of the European Union to Sri Lanka, Denis Chaibi. Appreciating the continued close collaboration and the very cordial partnership and the support for Sri Lanka extended by the EU, the Secretary to the Treasury said that these grants will reinforce the government's efforts to strengthen the justice sector, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in Sri Lanka, and to improve food safety and quality targeting exports. Ambassador Chaibi noted that EU support to improving food safety will benefit producers and consumers alike, while boosting the potential export of organic agricultural products to the EU and other markets. He added that the EU and Sri Lanka will continue to work together to tackle the common challenges of climate change, which is a major EU priority. The United States donated a mobile testing unit to the Regional Health Services in Monoragala, which was received by Dr. B.M.C. Dasanayake. It is a part of the effort to fight COVID-19 in Sri Lanka and protect lives through early detection. The mobile unit will administer PCR tests and provide vital health services to 100 people daily in Monoragala communities hit hard by the pandemic. The mobile unit enables safe sample collection by avoiding direct contact and can be used in future for testing other communicable diseases, including dengue. U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Alaina B. Taplets, said by making COVID-19 tests and other health-related services accessible to rural communities, the United States is helping mitigate some of the profound human and economic losses caused by the pandemic. The donation was funded by the U.S. government's development arm, the U.S. Agency for International Development, through its Social Cohesion and Reconciliation project. Katunayake International Airport has been certified as having complied with internationally recognized health and safety measures by Airports Council International, ACI, an industry body representing world airports. Director Operations, Airport and Aviation Services, Shahan Sumanasekara, said they are certified as a safe airport by ACI Airport Health Accreditation Program. He said only 197 airports have been accredited from the 1,200 international airports around the world. The certificate was issued on Monday and will expire in 2022. The accreditation acknowledged that the airport was in line with International Civil Aviation Organization's Council Aviation Restart Task Force recommendations and ACI's Aviation Business Restart and Recovery Guidelines. Co-Cabinet spokesperson Minister Udaya Ganmanpilla said the government has paid attention on introducing flexible working hours for the public sector. Speaking at the weekly Cabinet media briefing at the Government Information Department yesterday, Minister Ganmanpilla said with the reopening of schools, traffic congestion is on the rise again and the government is focusing on introducing the concept of flexible working hours for public sector employees. Under the new system, people will be able to spend 40 hours a week using new technology in a way that is convenient for them, and not everyone will have to report to office at the same time. He added that the government is now studying the concept. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Save your card with a balance transfer facility from People's Bank. More details at peoplesbank.lk.
Continuing with the local stories, State Minister Priyanka Rajaratne says that a program to provide financial assistance for emigrant workers returning to the country to commence self-employment projects has been launched. The government has introduced various programs to encourage workers who are returning from overseas employment. They are being directed for self-employment to increase local industries according to the Vistas of Prosperity manifesto. A total of 463 PCR tests were carried out for the members of Parliament and staff members of Parliament today at the Parliament complex. The Speaker and 15 other government and opposition MPs were volunteered to undergo the PCR test today. Sergeant-at-Arms Narendra Fernandes said a total of 448 persons of the Parliament staff, including the police and STF officials attached to the Parliament, underwent the PCR test. PCR tests will continue on Friday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Parliament premises. Secretary-General of Parliament Dhammika Dasanayake stated that the meeting of the Committee on Parliamentary Business scheduled to be held today is rescheduled to be held next Monday on the instructions of the Honourable Speaker Mahinda Yapa Abeyewardena. This meeting of the Committee on Parliamentary Business was scheduled to be held to decide on the business of the House of the Parliamentary Week, which is scheduled to commence on the 19th January. The Central Bank said depositors of Swarna Mahal Financial Services will get another tranche of cash, taking repayments up to 50% of their deposits, and the firm will be allowed to be open for period for the purpose. In 2018 and 2019, up to 30% of the depositors had been repaid. By end of 2020, 834.1 million rupees had been paid for 25% of the insured depositors out of the total of 9,660, up to a maximum of 600,000 rupees per insured depositor. The 80th Ratana Sutra chanting, organised by the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, takes place this evening from Kagalla, Vattarama, Sri Arahanta Malayadeva Rajamaha Viharaya. The Ratana Sutra chanting will be held under the guidance of the custodian of the temple, Venerable Vattarama Samita Thero. It will be broadcast at 6:30 p.m. over SLBC's Sinhala commercial service, City FM and regional services. Bank of Ceylon and Dali Butler Company are the sponsors of the religious ceremony. To end the local news, the headlines again. The President emphasizes that the government has no intention of selling or leasing out East Container Terminal of the Colombo Harbour. The European Union supports Sri Lanka's justice sector, food safety and efforts to mitigate climate change. The United States helps mitigate human and economic losses caused by the pandemic. Katunayake International Airport has been certified with internationally recognized health and safety measures. That ends the local news.
Save your card with a balance transfer facility from People's Bank. Transfer the balance of another credit card to a People's Bank credit card with the lowest interest rate. More details at www.peoplesbank.lk.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
On the main news story, the Ministry of Health says that 646 COVID-19 patients have recovered and were discharged from hospitals within the last 24 hours. This brings the total number of COVID-19 recoveries in the country to 43,267. The tally of coronavirus cases reported in the country thus far stands at 49,537, while 6,026 of them are under medical care presently.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Moving on to Watchlight, police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana stated that a special operation to conduct rapid antigen tests on persons leaving the Western Province via 11 exit points will be recommenced from today. The police media spokesman reiterated the need to follow health guidelines and adhere to quarantine regulations by wearing face masks and maintaining social distancing. He warned that isolation orders may have to be imposed again if residents fail to adhere to quarantine regulations in their areas. That ends Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always. All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Headlines of the world news. China COVID cases jump ahead of WHO investigation team's arrival. Japan is to suspend entry of all foreigners. US Vice President Mike Pence says he opposes removing Trump with the 25th Amendment. China has recorded the biggest daily jump in COVID cases in more than 5 months. Despite strict measures to curb an outbreak that began in Hebei, the province surrounding Beijing, as a team of experts from the World Health Organization investigating the origins of the coronavirus were due to arrive in the country. Most of the new patients were reported near the capital, but the province in northeast China also saw a rise in new cases. The Japanese government plans to suspend the entry of all foreigners as the coronavirus continues to spread around the world. Japan halted all new arrivals of non-nationals last month after new strains of the coronavirus were confirmed in the UK and elsewhere. But it continued to allow entry by business people from 10 Asian countries and Taiwan. The government plans to suspend the entry of travellers regardless of whether a coronavirus variant has been detected in their country. Vice President Mike Pence told House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi yesterday that he is opposed to invoking the 25th Amendment to remove President Donald Trump from office after Trump supporters laid siege to the U.S. Capitol last week. At least 3 Republicans, including a member of the House leadership, said they would vote to impeach Trump for urging supporters to march on the Capitol to fight shortly before the attack that led to the deaths of 5 people. To end the world news, the headlines again. China COVID cases jump ahead of WHO investigation team's arrival. Japan is to suspend entry of all foreigners. US Vice President Mike Pence says he opposes removing Trump with the 25th Amendment. That ends world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always. All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Moving on to development news, the government has approved the purchase of 200 new low-flow buses for the Sri Lankan Transport Board. The decision was announced during the weekly cabinet briefing at the Information Department. The decision was taken by the Transport Ministry to facilitate the city transport service. It has been noted that 200 low-flow buses will be used for short-distance operations as they are more comfortable and suitable for shuttle service than the buses which are in existing fleet. That ends the development news. On to sports news. Batsman Angelo Matthews and fast bowler Nuwan Pradeep are among 5 players who have joined the Sri Lanka bio-bubble since their return from South Africa. They, along with batsman Roshan Silva, spin bowling all-rounder Ramesh Mendis and left-arm wrist spinner Lakshan Sandakan, have now officially been named in the squad to play England in the Test series that starts tomorrow. Dhananjay De Silva and Kasun Rajitha are out of the series altogether. But Matthews' return in particular will hearten a Sri Lanka side that had been struck down by injury in South Africa. He is likely to take up a middle-order position with Dinesh Chandimal. Sri Lanka's team manager Asantha De Mel said that Oshada Fernando was not a certainty to play in the first test in Galle. Suranga Lakmal and Lahiru Kumara have also recovered from the various strains that had plagued them in South Africa. On the spin bowling front, Sri Lanka have leg spinner Wanindu Hasaranga, left-arm spinner Lasith Ambuldeniya, off-spinner Dilruwan Pereira and Sandakan to choose from. Aside from Lakmal and Kumara, the available fast bowlers include left-armer Vishwa Fernando, Dushmantha Chamira and Asita Fernando. That ends sports news. On to business news. The Monetary Board of the Central Bank has decided to ask Director Supervision of Non-Bank Financial Institutions to make an application to a competent court for the winding up of the ETI Finance Limited in terms of the Finance Business Act. The Monetary Board on 2nd January 2018 issued directions to directors of the company and appointed a management panel to oversee the affairs of the company. That ends business news.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Congratulations on your promotion. When will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
And on economic news, the Monetary Board could hold key policy rates steady at their current levels when they meet for the first time in 2021 next Monday to determine if the current stimulus is sufficient to lubricate the wheels of the economy, which is largely expected to make a rebound in 2021. In a pre-policy analysis, First Capital Research said excess liquidity, gradual rebound in private sector credit, rock-bottom interest rates and the possibility of adverse impacts from overdoing the monetary easing could induce the rate-setting committee to stay flawlessly. That ends economic news.
Hello, Puta. Did you land already?
No, Amma. We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
Oh, really? How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy. She might be feeling very uncomfortable. The airport must be heavily crowded because it's a season.
Amma, calm down. Everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge. There's nothing to worry.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
And finally, on the weather report, the Met Department says showers will occur at times in the northern, north-central, eastern and Uva provinces. Fairly heavy falls above 50 millimeters can be expected at some places. Fairly heavy falls above 50 millimeters can be expected at some places in the western, Sabragamua and in the Kurunegala districts. Showers can be expected in the southern province in the morning too. To end this bulletin of news, the headlines again. The President emphasizes that the government has no intention of selling or leasing out East Container Terminal of the Colombo Harbour. The European Union supports Sri Lanka's justice sector, food safety and efforts to mitigate climate change. The United States helps mitigate human and economic losses caused by the pandemic. Katunayake International Airport has been certified with internationally recognized health and safety measures. In foreign news, China COVID cases jump ahead of WHO investigation team's arrival. And in sports news, the first test between Sri Lanka and England will begin tomorrow in Galle. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.